Before we jump into today's topic, a quick disclaimer. The stories and data we share come from the states that we practice in and the experiences that we personally had, which can differ greatly across our country and certainly the globe. This is not a professional advice show, so let's get comfy and talk about death.
Hello and welcome to Mort Mike,
a down-to-earth discussion on death and dying.
I'm Brandy.
I'm Sierra.
And I'm Red, and we are your tchotchke collectors on this episode.
Woo! We love tchotchkes.
At the thrift store, you always find me in the tchotchke section.
Listen, Target, $5 and below, has me in a chokehold. But that's not what we're here for today. We're here for something even better. So kids, for those of you who have ever roamed the halls of a museum, taken trips through time and space into civilizations far from our own, the concept of grave goods is something familiar. Humans love to send worldly goods with our deceased, whether it's to assist with the journey through the afterlife or some personal connection with the process of death. There are so many unique things that have been resigned to the decay alongside our dead. So some of you may have already made the easiest connection to grave goods in history. The ancient Egyptians, dun, 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 dun. They were the kings and queens, literally, of this behavior. Very slay. But we're not going to talk about them today because we've talked about them a million times before. Episode 36 literally covers this completely, but I know you guys are avid listeners, so you already know that.
Our best listener base have listened to all of our episodes because they're all good and no trash episodes, no filler, I promise.
There's never been filler ever.
Pulls collar nervously. So, of course, why don't we start at the beginning, really, of grave goods when established through human history. Grave goods of the ancient eras often shared similar threads throughout the world. Textiles, weapons, jewelry, foods and drink, art, figurines, pottery, and sometimes, unfortunately, animals and servants were sacrificed to join in the burial or cremation of their either owners, kings, queens. Grave robbing, of course, became a popular pastime because of all the valuables just buried beneath the earth's surface. I think one of the most lavish displays outside of the Egyptians was the terracotta army that was erected for Emperor Qin Shi Huang's tomb. There were, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this before, there were 8,000 life-size warriors, 670 horses that were stationed there in his tomb to protect the emperor in his travels beyond the veil. They were crafted by the combined efforts of local artisans and government workers. Torsos, limbs, and heads were made separately and then joined together. After extensive studies, it was found that no two figures shared the same features. They most likely used molds of the heads, but then individualized each face with clay afterwards. It took 700,000 laborers 40 years to complete this entire display, which is absolutely insane.
That's
what a
ridiculous.
Crazy display of wealth.
That's wild. When I die, I expect you guys to bury me with the exact same amount of people, please. You guys ever see I know that there's this movie. I don't know if that's what I saw as a kid or anything, but I always thought that those the clay people, the soldiers that were protecting him, I thought that was his actual army, and they buried them all alive
just
in the terracotta. I thought they just ganked them all. I don't know why I had that thought process, but I thought inside the terracotta there were bodies.
Like what? Like the House of Wax?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the movie.
I really did, man. I was like, damn, that's crazy. They just mass murdered all those people.
Honestly, for what we know of ancient history, that would not surprise me if that was actually the case.
I'm not super off base, just not in the right state. Do you think if you served in the army, you got a dedicated statue specifically to look like you?
So it did mention that some of the more popular generals and stuff might have been modeled in they actually were ranked by height. So some of the shorter where they're just ground soldiers up to generals, which were taller. Just it wasn't necessarily their heights. It was just to denote power structure within the army. So I think that they had discovered some the higher ups in the army were meant to be modeled after people that served him, which is actually that's kind of dope, actually.
Cool. Yeah, it's like when you get your name on a brick at a sports stadium.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, maybe not.
No, I think it's exactly that.
I think it's
It is-
exactly that.
Yeah, it's actually exactly that. I can agree.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, war is just sports, really.
It is, man.
That's fair. Wow. It's all connected.
That's wild. I'd want one to look like me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if I fucking fought and died in an army for some asshole on a throne, like, yeah, I would want to be immortalized in a little clay man. Sure.
Yeah.
I want it to just be all my pets lined up, like models of them. They can just protect me in my crypt.
Oh, I love that.
Would you ever do bad taxidermy of your
Fuck
pets?
yes, but my husband won't let me.
Why? That's so lame of him.
I tried with my childhood pug. Tried so hard to get his bones articulated.
Oh, no.
That was a hard no. I think actually in the end, my husband loved that dog more than I ever could. So, whatever.
It would have haunted him every day.
And then I wanted my cat, my childhood cat too. I wanted him just like as like a little ball sleeping, taxidermied. But that was also a hard no. He thinks that it's going to bring bad spirits into the house and he can't let it go.
What the fuck? I want to be haunted by my cat. That's like the point. I don't want her to leave.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's kind of valid.
He also says that I'm not allowed to bring any like human remains into the house at all. Like,
bullshit.
yeah. And I was like, if I did it though, it'd be pretty cool. So
Yeah.
So the resin work that they do for like bone molds nowadays is so realistic. Anyway, he would never know.
He would never
know.
He'll never know.
No big deal.
Tell him to
Yeah,
say
I don't know.
never
I'm kind of with your husband on that one. I don't fuck around with like like bones and shit in the house. I mean,
my
I have
gosh.
like bones from like I don't know, going to like the taxidermy fur seller at Ren Fair, but like I don't know if I'd put people in here. I'd be a little worried.
Oh my god, I absolutely would.
Smudging ritual and make an offering, call it a day.
I'm honoring them. They wanted to donate their body, probably. I would source it ethically. I'm not pulling it out of any
Hold
graves.
on. I think unethically sourced is cooler.
Oh my god.
No, but that would bring the vengeful spirits.
Yeah, but if it was somebody I didn't like and I don't know, they got ganked or something crazy happened and then I don't know, maybe somehow I happen to be in possession of their bones, I'd keep that in the house.
Interesting. We're learning a lot today.
But if it's somebody I like or it's just a random person that I don't know, like I don't really want their bones in there. But like if it's for petty reasons, like your family will never have the satisfaction of burying all of you, then like yeah, I could understand that, you know?
I'm actually more scared at your answer than I am at my answer.
Oh, for legal purposes, this is absolutely a joke.
It sure is.
Anyway.
Side-eye, bombastic side-eye. I'm gonna keep this in mind next time we hang out together. I'm gonna put a little extra seat between us. Just
Yeah,
in
but I
case.
like you. I'd never do that.
Leave room for Jesus.
Oh man, Jesus has abandoned this podcast. Oh.
Well, let us move forward in time to a middling type of era. Coins used to be placed over the eyes or in the mouth as a toll to Garen to cross the river Styx. There are many cultures that have participated in this or something similar and have adopted it for their own. And you've probably seen this portrayed in any sort of modern media where they close their eyes and put the coins on top of them. So I thought that was like we've always seen it. And as a kid, I was like, what? That is so weird and cool. I love it. Yeah, like just in case, you never know. Like what if the bone man in the boat's like, sorry you died, buddy. I got to get mine though.
Yeah, you gotta pay the toll.
Where's my fucking money, brother?
That is so the capitalism, you know, that I'd have to pay the toll for my own death. Damn.
You know, I just thought about that. Yeah, that's very capitalism.
Right?
Capitalism coded.
Can't believe that.
I'm going to send, so like when I die or when people I know die, I'm going to send them with like 4 coins. So just in case they like meet somebody and they're like stuck on the side of the river or whatever, they can be like, yeah, man, here you go. And then hopefully that good deed gets them like some bonus points for
Yep.
whatever the
That's
hell they're
cute.
getting to.
Aw,
That's
why
a good
didn't they
idea.
think of that? Yeah, why didn't they think of that? idiots.
So how can we go from you keeping the bones of somebody for a petty reason so their loved ones never find any sense of grief, but then also like, but send him with a few extra coins so you can help somebody else out. There are two wolves inside of you, Sierra,
And they're fighting each other.
But they love each other.
In another culture and in a similar way, Joss paper, or in a way sicker Western nickname, hell money, are, right, way cooler.
What the
Joss paper.
Yeah.
We're calling it hell money.
Hell yeah.
So it's fake prints of banknotes that are buried or burned for ancestral worship. So Chinese cultures, as well as many other East Asian countries, have long practiced the incinerating of this spirit money when someone passes to essentially the same thing, and ensure sufficient means in the afterlife, helping them out, and also kind of like a bribe sometimes too. These notes are also burned when the living will suck up to the dead for well-being and favors and good luck and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's like a ton of videos of it online. Like when I was searching this, you could buy just stacks of this fake paper to burn.
Oh, nice.
Apparently it was a problem with like air quality issues that they had to start making it out of different shit.
Oh my
'cause they were
God.
burning so much.
Jesus. I was going to say, if I was like, I don't know, a dead spirit and you sent me a fucking fake ass 20,
Monopoly money.
I'd be kind of mad. Monopoly money? Like, really? Like, who is this man? That's not Andrew Jackson. Get this out of here.
Cursed. Immediately cursed.
That'd be so
Unless
funny.
you're burning your Gucci belt for Sierra, she's gonna haunt your ass.
Fuck yeah. Listen, name brand or bust.
Well, anyways, bringing us back around to a recent topic. The Victorian times were fraught with superstitions, rituals, and symbolisms surrounding death. A common prop used in death photography were empty shoes for children. They were used to illustrate a life cut short and sometimes can be found on headstones. Flowers, of course, were a huge deal in this period, but mostly to cut down on the smell of decay. Wasn't a lot of embalmings or anything happening, and those hot Victorian afternoons.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't have been good for what was going on
AC.
in those houses that had just no ventilation too.
Right, exactly. Sitting in like the sun window
Yeah.
for 7 fucking days.
I don't know why I
ice.
never put that together. That like flowers at funerals started not because you're like, oh, I love you, here are flowers, but you stinky.
Because you're fucking
You're stinky.
You stink.
Like-
Dude, did anybody tell you that you stink?
gifting them deodorant.
Ooh. Okay, wait, hold up. Deceased deodorant. We are on to something there. I can tell you that I've smelled some terrible dead guy armpits.
Ew.
Dude.
The worst.
People, when they die, like when they've been sitting in hospitals, like the BO is going off.
And you lift up their arms and you're just like, oh, there's my lunch. There's my lunch.
Stinking.
The BO is honestly
Fucking
worse
stinking.
than decomp, I have to say.
Is that real?
It's real. So back in the day, didn't they used to put formaldehyde in deodorant? Back in the day, like powder deodorant?
No way. Is that for real?
They were onto something. I swear,
We gotta bring that
swear.
back.
Hold up.
We gotta bring that back. I will put it in my prep room tomorrow.
Formaldehyde in deodorant. I want to make sure I'm not speaking lies. I swear to God, this is true. Yes, formaldehyde and formaldehyde releasing preservatives may be found in deodorants, even modern times. They might be in
Oh, and see, that's why I don't fucking use deodorant.
Uh-oh. Well, they used to put like cocaine in medicine, so like
Well.
I don't know. It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Diet pills used to just be speed.
You got ghosts in your blood. Do cocaine about it. Ye olde doctor.
Oh, that's crazy though. So, okay, you guys do or did or have done and will do more embalmings and stuff like that. Do you spray them with like foo-foo water? You put deodorant on them? What do you do? Or you just let them be stinky?
So during we will wash people during the process of embalming. So not even just like we would always give like a desanitizing wash initially. And then like while we're embalming, we're using like soap to help us massage the fluids into the tissues. So that's like doubling down on just more washing.
Yeah.
And then we'll wash them again at the end because there's usually like they're covered in blood or all sorts of like chemicals and stuff. So like they're getting washed at minimum once really well with highly sanitizing soaps and chemicals, if not 2 or 3 times during the embalming itself. So they are getting washed pretty well. I would have some families bring in their loved ones like colognes and perfumes
that's
they just
nice.
always wore it, right? You know,
Yeah.
grandma always had her old lady stank on, so like just liberally spread that all over.
Yep.
Chanel number 5, please.
I've Febrezed my fair share of corpse
Oh my God.
Oh no.
where they just won't stop stinking.
Yeah.
This is our
Just
plug for
Febreze it.
Febreze, actually.
Yeah, can they sponsor us for sure?
Looking for that hot sponsorship deal for Febreze.
Seriously.
Yeah, that and Glade plugins. That'll save it. That'll save it.
Damn. That's me in my house. Just kidding.
I'm worried. I am actually worried there are dead bodies at your house, Sierra.
Yeah.
After all that.
no, you have no statement of like, no, not at
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too, man.
all. Damning evidence.
Terrifying. So we'll bring it back to our Victorian era.
Away from Sierra's murder case.
Yeah, I'm terrified. So we're just going to keep this ball rolling.
Good idea.
Since there was a fear of being buried alive at this time, food, water, and escape tools would sometimes be found along with the dead. So I'm sure we've all heard about the bell.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the bell, the death bell. What is it called? The I'm not dead bell.
Yeah, the I'm not dead bell.
I'm not dead yet, Belle.
Yeah, a string that was attached to a finger or some part of a dead person's body. So as they were riling around down there, they could be pulled up as quickly as possible.
And as we found out in our Victorian episode, it usually was ringing because the body's bloated
Yeah.
and set them off anyway, and they've just dug up an even more deader guy.
Exactly.
That's fucking hilarious.
Delicious. More decomp for us to all think about and feel in our nostrils right now.
It shit sticks with you, man. I don't know what it is about decomposition, like chemical smells, but that shit will lodge itself in your nose. Like our first embalming teacher always told us to like clean our nose out before we would go home because it just it gets in there,
And then you eat
gets
it.
in.
You eat it later because your nostrils are so full of it that you're like eating your food and all you can smell is decomp.
You
and
catch
so
a whiff.
It's
Yeah, you just catch a
horrible.
whiff of it, and you're like,
What
It's
the
horrible.
fuck? Listen, I'm glad I have not had that experience. The closest I can give you is when they did the fetal pig dissection in high school, and like the whole school smelled like formaldehyde for like a minute.
it never smelled. You smelled death a little bit, but yeah, I had the fetal. We had a cat actually, a dead cat.
Evil.
That the same thing. They were in bags of formaldehyde, and yeah, like they had just embalmed the shit out of it, where it was just like the most denatured your proteins could ever be.
Yeah, ours were like blue and shit. It was crazy.
Yeah, super grody. No, I mean anybody that smelled like rotting Chinese food, like that's pretty close. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sickly sweet.
We did like sheep brains and stuff though, and they didn't smell nearly as bad during my psychology one. Brains are a lot harder than you'd think they would be. I thought they were gonna be like squishy. They're not squishy at all.
denatured. Yeah, once they're denatured, for sure they get like rubberized.
Yeah.
Like that'll happen to the tissues. But if you're pulling out a just normal brain, it is so soft. Like,
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Brandy, what would you akin it to? Like if you were to squish one in your hands.
It's like Jello from the freezer.
Yeah.
Like it's not quite completely solid firm, but it's also not quite gelatin. And as it decomps, it becomes much more gelatinous, and eventually it'll just become soup in your skull.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, see, in my brain, you know those like squishable things, those little like gummy things that you can throw at the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it would feel like.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
just
close.
not
I mean,
as
like, because it'll go
gummy.
through your fingers if you
Yeah.
squish it hard enough.
Uh-huh.
It'll just whoosh, whoosh out.
Yeah.
sound
that
effects.
was a great one. I love
I
that.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we did the sheep braids and stuff, when I went and I crunched, like I so at the, this is going to make me sound even crazier. This episode, I'm lore dumping a lot.
This is the witch hunt episode for Sierra.
This is the stupid episode that's going to get me put in jail. But we were in like a psychology class in high school. It was like my senior year, whatever. And we were done doing our dissection, and she was like, "Okay, like we can go ahead and throw these away." And I was like, "Well, can I just squish it and see what happens?" And she was like, "I don't care what you do." And I went, "Okay." And so I just had it in my hand. I went, and it crumbled like overcooked cauliflower. And I really expected it to be more like squishy, but it was like
Yeah.
cauliflower-y.
Yeah. That's
So that was
just
crazy.
the chemicals.
You're pretty close. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
the chemicals fuck it up. But yeah, that fresh brain, oh, that's squishy.
Very squishy.
That's crazy.
Big time squish.
Big time squish.
Yeah, I've never felt anybody's like unchemicaled brain. So That's got to clear me for something, right?
I was gonna say that. No, that I think that clears you a little bit more. Yeah. Of any stacked charges against you.
Woohoo! I'm innocent.
Until proven guilty. Let us move forward into the modern era, a time that we all live in right now.
Unfortunately.
I've been very fortunate to have witnessed varying cultures through my time as a funeral director, and I've worked some East Asian funerals that fresh fruit offerings ended up in the casket of the loved one. I've also been a part of a sizable amount of Hindu funerals, and there are so many items placed in the casket before cremation. Sometimes it would be so dense with all the stuff that they would put in that the face would be the only thing visible of their loved one anymore. There would just be flowers and spices and black sesame seeds and coconuts and earthen pots and ghee.
Did they smell good when they got cremated?
They smelled, they had incense in there too. It was intense, but it smelled so good.
That's awesome.
I always loved working those funerals. I always had a fun time seeing the Americanized family members of the Hindu families trying to keep up with the ceremony, because there's always so much going on, and they're like, all right, put this in, now put this in, now pour this ghee all over the top of them. They were just as panicked as I was usually working them, so that was pretty cool. But
oh yeah,
I know that obviously we are alive in this era and we have attended funerals, so I wanted to take some time to actually talk about shit that we've seen placed into caskets, or what's more common in today's era, things that I've seen a lot of in funerals, or things that you guys might have heard of or done yourself to put into caskets before someone's buried or cremated. Or I can just go into it.
I was waiting for Brandon because I always jump in so fast.
No, you're fine. I was just thinking about what I've seen. What have I seen? Always rings. Always wedding rings or baby rings. I had this old lady at a funeral one time where she still had her baby ring from a newborn, and she was 80 something years old. It was just so sweet. The family put it on her, and then I watched the granddaughter take it at the end for her would be her great granddaughter. So it was a really sweet moment. I think about that one.
That was nice.
It was always a surprise to me how much jewelry got sent with people to burial or cremation. Some families were aware and just gave them costume jewelry that was okay, no value. But sometimes people would send legitimate wedding rings and stuff along with them, which I can't, there was many families that had said this over the time that I was a funeral director. And I thought it was sweet because I'd be like, do you want her ring back, before we close the casket? And they're like, that was their show of love together. He's already dead. She's going to meet him now. I'm not going to take that from her. I want her to have his ring forever. And I'm like, okay, well I like the sentiment with that a lot. I can understand wanting to take it out and pass it on too, but I thought that was sweet hearing that from some families. Oh my God. I have a story. So there was a Greek family we had served, and they had gone back home at some point and got real gold bangles or something for their mom, and from Greece, very steeped with important family values on these Greek bangles, and they were supposed to be taken off. And it's another one of those cases of the director that met with them wasn't the director that took the funeral type of thing. Mm-hmm. And the instructions were given to take them off. And apparently this old school director and new apprentice just felt, they didn't see them with their eyes. They felt over the top of her long sleeves, didn't feel them, closed the casket, had many opportunities where the family was like, hey, did you take all our jewelry out? Yep, we got it all. And we buried them.
No!
And we buried we buried the bracelets with her. And so we had to pay to exhume the body because, why fucking wouldn't we? That's you get sued, dude. So I was there for the exhumation itself. And we had to, one of the daughters was from out of town. And we had to videotape the whole thing. The body did not look good after the time, that had been in the ground. So, it was a whole fucking thing. I couldn't believe that happened. So warning to any funeral directors out there, triple double check, please. This shit should not fucking happen. It's not that complex.
That's actually crazy.
It is, because it's stupid too. The reason is they're bangles. They move around. They're big. Mm-hmm. And they closed the casket to go to church and opened it. And so they shifted down the arm, roll up the goddamn sleeve, dude. That was crazy.
Yeah, what the hell? That's such a, that's so crazy.
Were you there at the funeral home when there was that one guy who I don't know if he was a biker, but he just had like biker vibes, and he died. And his ex-wife was trying to get his rings, but the whole family wanted him buried with the rings, and he had like one on every single finger. And we were like watching the doors like hawks because they were like, oh yeah, this woman's coming in. She's coming in hot.
Oh my God.
I don't think she ever showed, at least while I was there. It was like a 2-day visitation, like this whole thing. They had all these people coming in and stuff. And it was like really important that this dude got buried with his rings. And that apparently she wanted them.
I never worked that funeral, but I had heard stories of that while I was at the funeral home, of that specific one. Because now you're telling it, I'm like, yeah, I remember that. Because that's the unfortunate thing, is that people will take jewelry off. Because like it was part of our thing that like during visitation, we would check in with the families and we'd go over like every single thing that was in the casket, whether it was photos or like a piece of candy that they stuck in there, you know, like anything. Like, do you want this to stay? Do you want this to come out so we can take it out? And then like I would come in the next day and the jewelry's fucking gone and I'm freaking out. Yeah. Because the night staff didn't leave us a note. Like family took it off themselves, and it's like, I still can't do that, because what if fucking Meemaw takes it and then Meemaw was like
banned from life,
banned from the family?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Ugh, it's pain in assholes. So yeah, any listeners, please don't remove jewelry without at least telling somebody at the funeral home that you've done it.
Yes.
Because it makes a whole fucking mess of things.
And the next of kin, because that's the only person who should be making any decisions.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I always love what people put into caskets. I always think it's very sweet, because there's all sorts of like, there's like the normal crap, right? Like religious paraphernalia, like putting rosaries and crucifixes in there and all that sort of stuff. But like a lot of times I'd have families bring in like blankets to put over like their legs. So it's like, oh, grandma's feet were always cold, so make sure she's got this blanket on. And like children's drawings. They had like a shit ton of grandkids. They'd have a bunch of little drawings to send with grandma, or notes and letters to send with them. And like pet cremains and people cremains would go in there a lot, like urns.
That's kind of fire, actually.
Double cremated.
Yeah. Cooked twice.
Yeah, some people would get double cremated.
Chad, am I cooked? Just kidding.
And also, please do not just sneak somebody, like an actual person's cremated remains, into a casket. There's so much that goes into that. It can be done, but like you got to talk to your funeral director about it.
Yeah, that feels like that could be problematic real fucking quick.
Oh, well, it can. Especially, so like the big thing for cemeteries is that if there's another person being buried in the casket, technically cemeteries would charge like a second right if they were to bury an urn on top of a casket, right? So if you're ever going to have like a headstone put in for both of those people, and like it's not documented, that like they won't do it, or you're gonna have to pay for it. Like it's a thing. So that's just a little sidestep there, but I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to like put cremated remains in a casket.
Yeah, I kind of like that, actually.
Especially like puppies and cats, you know. Like,
I would want to be buried with Mac.
They're little besties.
If he was already
besties
dead.
with them.
I don't want to like kill him to put him in there.
Let's not kill Mac. We're not kill Mac.
Hey, I actually saw articles that mentioned quite a few stories of people who would their loved one would die and then they'd kill their cat or their dog and bury them with them.
Oh my God.
Fucking wild. Like, this is modern times?
Yeah, like Victorian era stuff.
Oh, Victorian era? Yeah.
They were doing crazy stuff.
Well, I would have expected that from back in the day. Like, when we talked, like, the ancient times and stuff. Like, that Victorian era, they did that shit?
Yeah. There was, like, a big list of basically all the stuff we've talked about. And then it just said, and sometimes a horse or dog. Presumably their possessions in life. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I guess technically, but like, maybe no.
Maybe no.
Fucking no. That's fucked up, dude. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, if they were already dead, for sure, like, I would want the cremated remains of my pets with me, but like, to go out and kill your own animal to be with you, like,
and it's like, for these sweet old ladies, they're like, oh, grandma would have wanted to be buried with Peaches, and then they go and murder Peaches.
Well, also, this is from a time period of like heavy Christian values, which especially then there was no heaven for dogs. Not all dogs go to heaven, so you just kill the dog.
They did
for
not
dogs.
give a fuck. They did not give a fuck.
That's the most hillbilly shit I ever heard.
And they thought they were so cool and uppity, and they got their decompy ass fucking houses that they got to put a bunch of flowers in, and they're killing dogs, putting them in grandma's casket.
You know, speaking of flowers, so flowers are still a thing today for people to put in caskets. Like, there's like flower arrangements that are specifically made to go into caskets and like be hung in there and shit. And I always thought it was like a sweet thing to get families involved that like take a long stem rose or a flower out of the spray and like put it into the casket like before
like
we
that,
close
yeah.
it. So, you know, they have this little flower blanket and like it's sweet. Everybody gets to be involved. And one of the funeral directors, the old heads I used to work with, freaked out on me once. He's like, I don't think you should do that because I exhumed a body once and they had put flowers in there and there was so much mold on the inside of the casket. And I'm like, brother man, listen.
What?
They're not supposed to be taken back out.
The body's gonna fucking decompose anyway.
Yeah.
So why don't we just let these people be involved in a nice, fun way? Like, yeah, it's gonna get gross in there. There's a dead body in there. All right. I think mold from flowers is like the least of our
For
worries.
real.
Okay.
That's so
Yeah.
wild. The things they'll get uppity about.
Seriously. I think another big thing is like clothes. Clothes are very specific and not even just like the ones that people are like wearing, when they're in the casket. But like I've seen so many people display like biker vests and like wedding dresses and military uniforms and sports jerseys, either like in the casket that they want to stay with them or all sorts of things. Like we are very attached to our clothing. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
That's a big one. I can imagine Sierra's going like head to toe gold.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, if I'm not like, it's drip or drown, baby, and I'm already drowned, so might as well. That's how I want to go. I want to be like coated. Have you seen those ones where they like, this is crazy, but I'm crazy, so it's fine. I want to be like dipped in it, you know, like just
Oh my God.
dip me in gold and then bury me. But like,
Will you be
fake
like
gold.
displayed like that, like dipped in gold,
Fuck
and then like yeah.
Yeah,
No,
put
I
me
see
like
the
a cool
vision.
pose or something. Like, let me
Under like a
like I had to
cloche.
do it to him.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Like you're gonna look like fucking Han Solo when he gets frozen into that like
yeah,
wall or
perfect.
whatever.
That's exactly what I want. And then somebody can turn me into a modern art piece. I love it.
There we
So
go.
here for it.
Beautiful.
And then like years later, they'll be like, and here we have this dumb bitch in gold. Like,
Are you naked?
oh yeah,
That's a good question.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just
TOSTB,
full,
baby.
full bush to the world. Last,
Oh, you
last
think I
way
have
out.
a bush?
I mean, who knows how old you'll be when you die?
Oh, that's
who
true. No,
Knows
no.
What's
Listen.
going on?
When I'm like 80 years old, yeah, you're right. I'll be rocking the grandma bush for sure.
Let it hang out, dude. Bring back the bush.
And that's your right. That's your God-given right.
Yeah, man, my G bush. I was about to make a 9/11 joke, and then I was like, I don't know if I should.
Oh my lord. What is it with millennials and things always going back to 9/11?
It's always 9/11. Oh my God.
It is. It really is.
I think my personal favorite as a funeral director, seeing people put shit into caskets over time. Like my favorites, we are simple creatures and we will put money and cigarettes and snacks and booze into caskets
Hell
with
yeah.
people.
Fuck yeah.
All the time. The amount of times I've gone up there and there's a fucking can of Natty
Yep.
or Peeber,
Yeah.
Always the natty.
Bury me with
little
Corona.
Jack Daniels, fucking Newports tucked in the pocket.
A Four Loco.
A motherfucking Newport.
I've yet to see a Four Loco.
Me
I
either,
would like to
but-
see. I would like to be surprised.
I would
That'd be
like that.
amazing.
Please, somebody at their funeral request the Four Loco.
Send us pictures. Send us pictures of the coolest thing you put in a casket.
Speaking of coolest thing being put in the casket, so I had moved back to one of the states that I practiced in, and it was like a blue collar area, you know, lower middle class, salt to the earth type people, God fearing Christians. And one of the first funerals I worked, they were like, okay, we're gonna, you know, take some time with them, and then we don't want to be here for the casket closing, so you can come in just when we're done. I'll walk out, you can walk in. I'm like,
Okay.
oh, sounds good. Take your time. They walk out, I walk in. I go up to this man, and I've seen in the casket, mind you, multiple times before this moment. And lo and behold, what is on this man's chest? A gun.
Oh,
they had parked a revolver in his fucking hand on just crisscross applesauce over his chest.
That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Oh my fucking God. I mean, like, we'd already gone over this. Like, anything that's left in the casket, like, please go ahead and send it with him. And they gave him his fucking gun.
That's actually...
the issue with that is if they actually killed somebody with that, and then they were just like, yeah, we're burying the evidence.
Yeah.
It's such a good idea. Right? I'm going to do that.
I did check to see if it was loaded, so it wasn't.
That's so smart.
That's
Jesus
wild.
fucking
And
Christ.
that seems... I feel like I know what funeral home you're talking about, and it seems...
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Seems very
one.
appropriate. The ones where people would leave the funeral, go out in the parking lot, get barefoot,
Tailgate.
and tailgate.
If people don't tailgate my funeral, I'm going to be real upset about it.
I mean, I'm all
I
for
know
it.
a perfect place for
I
it.
love it. It's just so funny
That's
to
so-
witness when you're like working a
is.
funeral and you are not going through that grieving process and you're just watching these people in your parking lot doing shooters. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What a way to go, man. Well, I guess not go. What a way to go to a funeral.
You got to go big or go home.
That's so
That's
true.
That's very true. Well, with all of these really fun ideas that we've talked about and drummed up here, at the end of the day, or rather the end of the life, what would you guys want put in your caskets?
How fucking wild would it be if somebody buried you with like, well, they didn't bury you. They sent you to your cremation with fireworks on you. Like they put them up in you. And so as you're burning and shit,
Jesus.
I would fucking hate that. I would hate that so much as a crematory operator.
sounds like
that'd
a
scare the
scene.
shit out of somebody. That'd be
Yeah.
so funny.
Oh my God.
It's not funny, but it's really funny.
Please don't fucking do this. If any of you fucking do this, especially with like the holidays that we have in the summertime and the availability to the American people of essentially fucking bombs like that you can buy at Stan's fireworks shack on the highway. Please don't
Stan's
fucking do
fireworks
this.
shack.
What other things? What other things do you think you'd put in there?
I can't get over the image of like a human being launched in the sky and just becoming a firework. I'm so sorry.
We've created a new disposition. It's fine.
I love it. Please.
Disposal by firework.
I was gonna say they used to shoot people out of cannons. Like, what's the difference?
Wait, no, what they did not.
Well,
Did they
they-
used to shoot people out of cannons?
Not like dead people, but like,
Oh.
you know,
Well,
Oh,
people
well, yeah,
still
like
do
the circus
that. Yeah, the circus.
oh, like in real life.
This is your thing.
You
I want to
said
be
it.
shot out of a cannon.
I mean, if that
Jesus
is an
Christ.
option, I would get shot out of a cannon. I'm not bringing shit to my grave because I'm being shot out of a cannon and becoming a human firework.
I was just
No, shot out of a wood chipper is way.
Evil.
Oh my god. I'm just like, I'm seeing that image, and we've all seen the video of the person who passes out as they're going down the like the zip line. They passed out on a zip line.
Yeah, that dude that was passed out on the fucking zip line just yet.
Yeah, and he was ragdolling. And I was just imagining like the ragdoll vibe that you would bring to the function if you got shot out of a cannon as you were dead, you know?
Spin me from the ceiling fan.
Yeah, hang me from. Oh, I love that. I guess if I was being buried, I definitely want to be shot out of a cannon and ragdolled and put on display and make it really funny. But if I was buried, I guess I'd want something like kind of sentimental from everybody. Like maybe like little notes. Like, do people do that? Like they leave like little
Yeah,
cute notes. But I want it to be dumb. I want it to be sticky notes, and I want them to sticky note my body.
Oh, I kind of like that.
That's
actually.
adorable.
You
I
know,
love,
wouldn't
and
that
then
be
there's
funny?
so many sticky notes that it's only your face.
Yeah, no, knowing my friends, they'd fucking stick them on the face to start with, you know? And then I'd have like a little bikini of sticky notes.
What about you, Brandy?
Also, of course, terribly sentimental. I would love to have all my pets and all of my husband's baby teeth.
Oh,
You have. He has. You have that. You have that in your possession right now.
I know that they're available. I'm just waiting for his mother to give them to me. And then they are going to the grave with me.
Oh my gosh! What a family heirloom.
what are you going to do with them when you're dead?
They're going to the grave. I'm not doing anything with them. I'm gonna turn them into jewelry, and then I'm gonna wear that jewelry to my grave.
The teeth jewelry, the Victorian teeth jewelry. Remember,
See?
Sierra? Hell yeah!
Okay. I would want teeth jewelry, but like in the same way that like when orcs like killed gnomes and stuff, they carried their ears around, you know? like a little trophy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, little trophies, your death trophies.
My husband's kind of my trophy. I'll take that.
Oh, trophy
Yeah, he's your
husband.
trophy
Slay. We love
husband.
that. Woohoo!
I think mine's similar. I would love just a lot of bones. There's already going to be bones in the casket,
Yeah.
but like more bones.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, if not just a shit ton of bones and oddities,
Yeah.
then just a bunch of like half-used vapes that
Oh, yeah.
no one ever bothered finishing because that's what I have in my pockets constantly.
That would be so funny. Honestly, you would have like the most aesthetic and then non-aesthetic like grave. You know what I mean? Like it would be so
Yeah,
fucking
goofy
sick with like
goth,
tons of cool
yeah.
goth like bones and stuff, and then us idiots are like, I'm burying her with 99 bananas.
Yeah, right. I'm the one that has the Four Loco in the casket.
Yeah, and I put it there.
Instead of, dropping dirt over your casket, it's just vapes. Just clunking onto the wood.
It's bad. This is a bad idea. Please nobody should do this. This is
I
such a bad
love this
idea.
idea. This has the seal of approval.
Well, we've seen quite the menagerie of options today throughout time that grave goods can take the form or shape of. And I do always urge people, especially around death, to not be very scared of it and to be more involved in it. And I think in modern times, everybody can participate in grave goods for their loved ones. And I do think it's a really meaningful way for you to get in touch with your loved ones, with your family, living or dead. So put some effort into it. And next time you have a funeral, this sounds fucked up. Next time you have a funeral in your life where a loved one of yours passes away, think of something that you'd like to leave with them. That's something that speaks from their heart, something that they loved, or something that you'd want to send with them. Because after all, this is something that we've been practicing as humans for a very, very long time. So it's not weird. It's very nice to be able to be involved with someone's passing away. It's part of the grieving process. And also put into thought what you might want to have in your casket someday. But that's going to be all this week on Mort Mike. Connect with us on our socials at Facebook and YouTube at Mort Mike Podcast. If you have any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear about or burning questions you have about death, shoot us an email at mortmikepodcast@gmail.com.
A huge thanks to Joey, our dedicated studio gopher, Marson Music for our theme Deputies of Death, and Macklin Legan for our custom icons and banners.
Be sure to tune in the first Thursday of every month for more casual discussions on death. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Mort Mike.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
No, you're not.
Yeah, get bet.